Welcome back to the breakdown. I am De La Creme de La, your privileged host, and this is another episode of the Breakdown Show. Now, my little my little best friend gets a little excited whenever I hear about a lawsuit, and I start going down the rabbit hole. I haven't gone all the way down this one yet, but I wanted to kind of bring it to you so that when we do, you'll know what the background is. Of course, this is TMZ. We know TMZ's writing is very rough and not professional, but we're going to go ahead and use this article anyway, or this blog post rather. So anyway, this says exclusive, which means only TMZ has this story. We'll see. 50 Cent to first baby mama, I own your life rights. Damn, they can't call her his child's mother or his son's mother. Would they do that if it was like Russell Crowe and one of his children's mother? Would they call her a baby mama? Is that racist? Okay, well let's start with the house rules. Let me get into it the right way. I'm irked already. Anyway, let's take a look. First of all, house rule number one is this is not a no judgment zone. We're gonna take a look at this information and we are going to judge, honey. Judge, honey. Now, all I have to go on is this information so far because I haven't actually pulled up the lawsuit that is referred to here, but I will. I'm about to head into my office right now and go into my resources right now and see if I can find the lawsuit. There's a lot of lawsuits that are talked about that I look up and never bring them to you either because they're dropped later on or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and look up this lawsuit and see if I can get into the details. But for now, house rule number one is this is not a no judgment zone. This is a place where we're going to see what we see and we're going to say what we see, and we are going to be completely objective. We are not going to bring our feelings, our fanship, or our personal faves into this conversation. We are going to look at this situation from a very intellectual standpoint because lawsuits are not emotional, they are legal. Okay, so it's very, very important, even though I don't like the headline, because I don't like the headline. I think the headline is very racist, but whatever. I'm the one with the background in journalism. I can't really hold that standard to TMZ. Um, what I will say is this. This is a lawsuit. So we're going to look at the lawsuit and look at the claims of the lawsuit for what it is, okay? House rule number two, this is not for children just because somebody actually came on my channel last night and told me I should stop cussing. What the fuck for? I don't understand. I just commented back. I refer you to house rule number two. House rule number two is this is not for children. House rule number three is just stay on topic in the comments or whatever. Okay. All right. So you see the photo here from Getty Composite. Again, that means Getty owns this photo. It cannot be used as a standalone photo. Getty owns photos of me too. I can't even reuse my own photos that are on Getty. Is that Getty or Gannett? Yeah, Getty Images. Yeah, Getty owns images of me too that I can't reuse, but whatever. Underneath, the caption says 50 Cent's publishing company sues X for sharing stories about relationship. Now, the way I found out about this was I was actually on Instagram, and I saw this just particular story with the headline, but nothing else, right? And sometimes that happens, and I got to go dig for information and find out what's really going on, which is always my pleasure. And I was reading under the captions, and I saw people were like, "What? She can't tell her life story?" Da 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 da. And I was like, "That's not why people sue. This is not a defamation lawsuit." Um, the quote says, I own your life rights. So this is not a defamation lawsuit. Now, I do remember seeing something recently where the mother of 50 Cent's oldest child was going to do a, what's it called, reality show. And she was told by 50 Cent, I guess through his company, you can't. You can't. And she was like, that's not true. He don't have that much control. Da, 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 da. But that reality show sure did never come out. It never happened. So something was popping. Um, you know? So I want to look at this from a legal standpoint because y'all know I'm a 50 Cent fan. So I have to look at this from a very objective point of view. As I tell everybody else, please don't bring your cognitive dissonance in here. Don't bring your fanship in here. We're going to look at this situation from a legal standpoint. Okay, that's what's most important. Okay. The quote again says, "I own your life rights." So we need to find out more about what that is. And it opens up a whole nother conversation, right? All right. So let's go ahead. This was published on July 17th, which for me was yesterday, 6:23 p.m., which for me was last night. For you, it was probably, has it happened yet? I don't know. Shit. This morning. What's today? July 18th, July 19th? I don't know. We've been on summer break for the last 2 days, so I've been kicking it, drinking peach tea and espresso. So I have no idea what today is. I guess I should find out, huh? That's important to me. Hold on. Let me walk over to a calendar and find out. Hey, Siri. What day is it today?
It's Friday,
July 18th,
okay. 2025.
And it's currently 4:19 p.m. here in South Korea. So this article would have been released yesterday afternoon for y'all. Yeah, yesterday afternoon for y'all, because it's probably the middle of the night when you get this. Let's start, okay? Of course, there's no writer, okay? So we have no one to hold accountable the information. We have no one to hold accountable for the information. It's just a general TMZ staff, okay? There's no real byline here. But the article says 50 Cent's publishing company is suing his child's mother. I'm going to write it the way it should be written, because if you want to be taken seriously, you have to use serious language. 50 Cent's company is suing his child's mother for telling stories about him online, ellipsis, which means there's other information there. But if you're writing the article, why would there be an ellipsis? You only use an ellipsis when you're quoting someone. But I digress. I'm not here to teach. Claiming she signed over her life rights years ago. Okay. G Unit Books is suing Shaniqua Tompkins, 50's ex, with whom he shares a 28-year-old son, Marquise Jackson. She's so pretty. G Unit claims Shaniqua, here's the important part, I can't say it, hold on. Irrevocably, I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm having a tough time with that one. I got my Korean tongue in my mouth. Irrevocably and exclusively. Now, the book company, the publishing company claims, okay, that she irrevocably and exclusively sold the rights of her life to the company, adding, what? Adding she agreed. What's this ellipsis? Would y'all stop? Could y'all go buy a book on how to write a news article? Because this is not right. Nobody should have to read this poorly written shit. Anyway, sold the rights to her life to the company. Ellipsis. What about just a dash? She added, quote, she would not publicly disclose, exploit, or otherwise commercialize any aspect of her life story or related rights. Way back in 2007. Now that's the crux, okay? I'm not sure what proof there is of that. Maybe there's a contract or something like that, an agreement or something like that that proves that, because that's what the bottom line is. A lot of folks don't like the fact that, when I went through the comments on 50 Cent's post, a lot of people were like, well, she can't tell her rights. You must have done something that you don't want nobody to know about. Well, the truth of the matter is, whether she tells a truth or not, if the claim is proven that she irrevocably and exclusively sold the rights of her life and company, and added that she would not publicly disclose, exploit, or otherwise commercialize any aspect of her life story or related rights in 2007, but that she did, and there are instances in which it can be proven that she did, then there's the case. I mean, we don't have to like the law. It's the law. Nobody consults with us when laws are created, okay? So we have to take our emotional hats off, because some people are looking at this from an emotional standpoint and saying, what, she can't tell her life story, like you must have done something, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, regardless of what she said, if it can be proven, I'm going to say this for the third time, if it can be proven that Shaniqua irrevocably, she agreed that she would irrevocably and exclusively sell the rights of her life, sell, which means she got something in return, to the company, adding she agreed, quote, she would not publicly disclose, exploit, or otherwise commercialize any aspect of her life story or related rights back in 2007, then that's what she did. That's the agreement she made. Okay? Listen, when I started working at a couple companies, I signed some things that I signed something called a non-compete, which meant once my relationship with that company ended, I wasn't allowed to work for another company that was in competition with that company for a certain amount of time. Like that was what I signed when I onboarded to the companies, two in particular. When I onboarded to those companies, I was not allowed to even look for jobs in the industry for a certain amount of time. Okay? Which is kind of how I ended up going to China. So anyway, fast forward to 2023, and G Unit claims Shaniqua dropped a YouTube video titled The Other Side of the Coin. The description of the video claims to tell the untold truth, the untold truth of how she helped to build the G Unit legacy and how Curtis 50 Cent Jackson wouldn't be who he is today without her. Okay, let's continue. Is this the video? I think this is a video. Hold on, let's take a look at this video. Because this is a trailer. I started to watch it, but I decided to watch it with you. This is from her YouTube channel called I Am Shaniqua Tompkins. And again, this is called The Other Side of the Coin. And let's take a look at it together.
Make sure see my little, okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, you can talk about it.
Okay. I haven't seen JU in over 20 years. I don't think I'm even prepared for this conversation. Yeah, seeing him is going to invoke a whole lot of emotions. Time flies.
The last time you seen him?
Over 20 years. Over 20 years. It's been over 20 years.
23 years. It's a long out time. 23 years.
You have a lot to catch up.
I'm going to go ahead and commentate on this video because I can do that. This is my show. If you're talking to somebody that you haven't talked to in over 20 years, that means you're about to talk about things that are at least 20 years old. So why? Like, what's the use? We live in a very fast-paced, fast-moving age of information. And if I don't jump on a story right away, it will be irrelevant in 3 days. Like, that's how quick the news cycle moves. Now, mind you, this video was made in 2023, but literally, I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't know, I guess there's some healing. That's when I jump into the other side of who I am. Because if I have to talk about a relationship, I mean, I could tell you who I done built too, who I done helped build too. But what difference does it make? Am I just trying to get clout off that person's name? Or am I, like, what's the purpose? To have this professionally shot video talking about something, a relationship that you were in 20 years ago is a red flag. Let's be clear. It looks kind of bitter, right? And it also looks very dated, like that outfit, but I'm not going to go there. It just to me, it screams, I need some attention. It screams, I have nothing else to be. I want to be really relevant right now, but I don't really bring anything else to the information age to be relevant about. Like, okay, so let me just give you a clue, a hint, because I don't know you. I don't know this lady. I don't know that man. I don't know none of these people. Okay, so I can speak extremely freely, and even if I did, I still would. If you had the tools and the wherewithal and the chutzpah and the know-how to help build, I think it would said the G Unit legacy. I heard Jay-Z said, I heard niggas say they made Hov. Okay, so make another Hov. You know, like, I'm gonna throw a little shade. How come you have a son who's unambitious? Okay? How come you don't just do that again? Why don't you sell a book about what you learned without telling stories, you know, maybe anecdotes type of situations? Why don't you create a master class or a course, or, you know, make your YouTube channel about step by step how to build a legacy type shit instead of telling old stories? I don't even know what the stories are because I haven't gotten that deep into it yet. But it just seems to me like the things that I learned from being a wife and being the companion of a successful man, and the things that I learned about supporting and helpmating and building, I would rather put those things into a duplicatable package rather than sell the stories, because that doesn't make any sense to me. The people that you're going to attract right now are not people who want to do any work or any kind of have any kind of ambition toward what it is that you say you helped build. They're just here to listen and leech off of the negative energy from the stories. And in the age of Aquarius, you could put that energy into a whole lot more places that would actually be for the benefit of all. I mean, because if you need to go to therapy and you need to sit down with a counselor to help work through those things, do that. But let's continue.
For oh wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, J.U. I ain't seen you over 20 years.
What's up? How you doing?
So let's sit right here, live your dreams.
Right.
Live your dreams.
Hold on, let me see if I can see what that says.
So the day before May 20.
Go back. Shaniqua Tompkins, meets with J.U. for the first time on the 23rd anniversary of the 50 Cent shooting, which was May 24th, 2020. What? That seems weird to me. Okay, go ahead.
Live your dreams. So the day before May 24, 2000 was my daughter's birthday, 23rd.
When I turn to the right, when I tell him who this, he's looking, right? I put him on point. Who this? When I turn to the right to grab the seat, finish my U-turn, he's like, oh shit. Instead of me.
Did y'all forgot to turn his mic on? Cause I see he got a lapel mic on his sweatshirt, but it sounds like he in the shower. Okay, we're off to a good start.
Saying, oh shit, what? I turn back this way. When I turn back this way, I see a nigga with a gun.
That morning wasn't so regular. That morning he seemed very worried.
You should have shot. If you would have shot, we wouldn't have went through none of that. Mm-hmm. And I told you, yo, who that? Mm-hmm. You want to be looking. But you want to say a nigga shot the gun out your hand. I can't see how a nigga shot the gun out your hand, right?
So he never had the gun in his hand?
Never had no gun in his hand.
So I didn't get in the door, the gunshots rang out. It paralyzed me. Like I just froze, like I couldn't move. Like I just could not move. What
I remember in 1984, my parents took me to the Victory Tour, which was the Jackson 5's last concert. But I don't tell stories about it because it's irrelevant. Please continue.
Me up out of that trance was his grandmother. So she starts screaming my name. So I pick Marquise up and I run downstairs. I put him in the boiler room in the basement. I said, don't you move. And I proceeded to look for Boo Boo's gun. So now I'm trying to look under the bed. I'm flipping everything over, looking for the gun. So with two guns didn't let off one shot.
Exactly.
Who was to say that he would still be here? Who's to say that he would be who?
What the fuck would we be talking about now? That don't add up. Like, no, but the shit crazy that I gotta even explain that part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm sorry. Let me just have a conversation with Curtis Jackson for a minute. I see two people who are completely, for the most part, respectfully irrelevant, trying to capitalize off of, and my air purifier just started screaming, so sorry if you hear background noise. Trying to capitalize off of your work, your legacy, your name, what you've added to the ethos from one situation that they experienced with you 20 years ago, and I hear no sort of care, compassion. I got Marquise in the basement. I was concerned about Boo Boo. I don't hear old boy saying I don't. It just seems like, okay, so let's get together and talk about a moment we shared together with somebody who's famous. This is disgusting to me. I mean, this was a life-threatening, and I'm still talking to Curtis Breakdown Crew. Give me a minute. This was a life-threatening situation, and it comes off to me very disgusting. It comes off to me very clout thirsty. It comes off to me very, ugh. All right, Breakdown Crew, I'm back. So that was the trailer for the other side of the coin. And if I saw this trailer, I probably wouldn't watch this show. Because if that was the trailer, the trailer's supposed to be, the hitter. It's supposed to give you some of the best pieces, not all of them. It's supposed to be a teaser. Like, I mean, Erykah Badu made a whole song that we learned about. What you gonna do when it comes for you? Work ain't honest, but it pays the bills. And we learned more from that song, and she never mentioned nobody's name. We learned enough from that song not to deal with drug dealers, not to deal with street people, not to deal with people who haven't evolved out of that lifestyle. This just seemed like gossip to me. And for this man to still hold aught because I guess the story that's been told isn't what he feels actually happened, who gives a fuck? The fuck? A person almost died who didn't die. What are we doing here?
Record, there were only 5 shots.
I don't get it. So anyway, let's continue. Hopefully, okay, that's it. Now I did go and look at Miss Tompkins' YouTube channel. It doesn't really seem to have a whole lot, so that's why I didn't take you over there. So anyway, let's continue with the article because that disturbed me. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. If I had experienced a traumatic, life-threatening situation like that, and all two people who supposedly loved me at the time could do was get together and talk about how things weren't the way that I portrayed them or whatever, that seems disgusting to me. It just seems like clout chasing. I'm going to go ahead and call it what it is, but that's not what we're here for. Let's talk about this lawsuit. And then, just last month, G-Unit claims she took to Instagram to capitalize on speculation around the identity of the witnesses in the Diddy trial. To grow her own brand. Well, we all knew not to do that. When she wrote, fun fact, I ain't never sell no cat. Girl, what nobody think about you? Cat emoji. What nobody thinking about you? Raise your hand if you thought when you heard 50 Cent's baby mama, Shaniqua Thompson. Raise your hand. There go that hush. That never even crossed my mind. Well, because I've actually studied a lot of these court cases behind the scenes. I know first, middle, and last names. I know case numbers. I know the courts in which the cases have been filed. I know whether or not they've been dropped. I've read the complaints. I am well versed. I don't share everything with you, Breakdown Crew, because not everything needs to be shared. Some things we allow to happen, and then we bring the things to you. AT2 was just talking about that on his channel. I'm not a gossip blogger. I have a journalistic background, so everything don't need to be talked about, and everything don't need to be talked about right now. You feel me, son? So like, I don't think anybody ever thought about this person, Marquise's mama, when that's what I call her. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be shady, but I don't think anybody ever thought about her in connection with P. Diddy. I don't think that ever crossed anybody's mind. I don't think that ever crossed anybody's mind. I don't think that ever crossed anybody's mind. As a matter of fact, I saw a meme. Y'all seen that Family Matters meme? It's a different to read it to the in the newspaper page. Love an edition of the family's eye. Some people say it's even harder to find. Well, it must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a something of dreams. Real love bursting out of every scene. Sing with me. As the days go by, it's the bigger love of the family. And that last shot said 50 Cent baby mama. That didn't look like Shaniqua to me. That looked like the other lady whose first, middle, and last name I know. She just inserted herself into that whole situation when it was unnecessary. Okay, all right. Maybe I'm doing the same thing. They say this brought her attention because she's a clout chaser, clout chaser. It tickles me. I mean, at some point, okay, when you are over someone, a notable person, you know, so like, okay, I'm not gonna tell my business. All I'm gonna say is this: situations come up. I see things happen all the time around me concerning people that I've known who I no longer know. What I look like popping in, being, and that wasn't me. Nigga, wasn't nobody thinking about me. I was probably the very last person on the list. Because that relationship was so long ago and so irrelevant to the recent history of that person that I would just be inserting myself. I'd just be raising my hand saying, pick me, look at me, somebody see me. And that's not necessary. That's not classy. That's not mature. It's not demure. But anyway, let's continue. Woo! Okay, so then they say this brought her attention, and she not only started to discuss Diddy's trial, but also told more stories from her past with 50 Cent. Okay, let's go. Let's continue. G-Unit is suing her for breach of contract. Well, based on the claim, and asks the court to prevent her from posting more social media videos. They're also asking for at least $1 million at trial. Now, that's not a lot of money to 50 Cent. It's really probably all about the principle. We've reached out to Shaniqua so far. No word back. Well, no, you don't want to talk now? You ain't got nothing to say now? Okay, let's read the comments. Somebody said, I am team anybody against 5 cents. Yep, that's my team. Okay, kicks and giggles for real. Another Hollywood person who has kids that he doesn't talk to. Wow, people just be throwing shit up. Let's keep going. Old school said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's not true because we're talking about legal paperwork. I'm not quite sure because I haven't dug into it yet, and I will in just a bit. It's 4:42 p.m. my time. I got to get dinner started, and then I'll go ahead and dig into it. But apparently, based on this article, I'm not sure if old school read the article, just like I didn't read their whole comment yet. But apparently, there was a legal document in which she agreed not to disclose or exploit these things. Okay. Now I'm not sure. Let me go back and talk to Curtis for a second. Did you sign a document agreeing not to talk about your past relationship with her? Because that might be where old school has something to say. But let's continue, because we can't use neighborhood sayings in legal, battles. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Well, did you know a goose is a female and a gander is a male? So what you really mean is what's good for the gander is good for the goose, but I'll let you finish. 50 been shooting shots at Diddy and his baby's mother, so now the shit pie is in his petty face. Now he can't take it. Suck it up. I need some punctuation marks before I have a seizure. Can't take it. Suck it up, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent. It doesn't feel good, does it, son? Man, people be mad. But no, that doesn't vibe with the legal standard. You mean telling the truth about Diddy that we've all known since the 90s? Sounds an awful lot like human ownership has been digitized. Well, it's not human ownership. These are publishing rights. These are publishing people. We got to go and read law. And maybe it's because I have a broadcast degree and I studied all this stuff in my undergrad, and none of these laws have changed since they were written. But we got to understand the law. For instance, let me just give for instance. When Stevie J and Mimi, I believe, were in a relationship, she agreed to the same type of legal stipulations with Stevie J. And at some point, she wanted to write a book, and I think it related to that sex tape she did with that other ugly nigga. And he had to actually release her from those legal obligations so that she could release her book. These are legal things that people get into. And if I understand correctly, they sold those rights. Okay? They capitalized off of this legal agreement. It wasn't, from what it looks like, it wasn't like Curtis Jackson or the G Unit companies, G Unit Publishing, G Unit Book Company went to her and was strong arming her. It looks like there was a business arrangement. Okay. Black on black slave ownership. Oh my God, people. Never trust people like 50 Cent who don't want secrets out. Like it or not, she signed the stupid contract. Thank you. She signed the damn contract. Jane? No. She isn't Jane. Jane is his second baby mama. God damn. Okay. I bet most of her content isn't even commercial content, not made for profit. Well, if it's on YouTube and she's monetized or working to be monetized, then yes, it is. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Let me go back up to why am I arguing with these people? People didn't read this article. And I'm not saying this article is completely fact, but usually when something is quoted, we can trust it. Okay? Quote, irrevocably and exclusively sold the rights to her life to the company. Adding, she agreed she would not publicly disclose, exploit, or otherwise commercialize any aspect of her life or related rights. So just the commercialization of it is just one piece. Sweet me. Okay, let's continue. I'm gonna have to drink some dandelion tea, because it just bugs me when people bring their street knowledge into a legal conversation. Like, read. Free speech being what it is, which has nothing to do with these private agreements. Free speech is a First Amendment right, okay? It has nothing to do with these private agreements. Free speech being what it is, he's not going to be able to prove breach of contract. Well, if he can show the agreement and he can release this video, then yeah, the video literally shows inside, and this video is on her YouTube channel, which means she owns this content, okay? When she called him boo-boo, let me see if I can go back to that moment. When she called him boo-boo, it says on screen, boo-boo is 50 Cent's nickname. So we all know who she's talking about. Hold on. Excuse me. I mean, I'm not trying to help nobody build.
The day before May 24, 2000 was my daughter's birthday, 23rd.
When I turn to the right, when I tell him who this, he's looking. right? I put him on point. Who this? And I turn to the right to grab the seat, to finish my U-turn. He's like, oh shit. Instead of me saying, oh shit, what? I turn back this way. When I turn back this way, I see a nigga with a gun.
That morning wasn't so regular. That morning, he seemed very worried.
You should have shot. If you would have shot, we wouldn't have went through none of that. Mm-hmm. And I told you, yo, who that? Mm-hmm. You want to be looking, but you want to say a nigga shot the gun out your hand. I can't see how a nigga shot the gun out your hand, right?
So he never had the gun in his hand?
Never had no gun in his hand.
So I didn't get in the door, the gunshots rang out. It paralyzed me. Like I just froze, like I couldn't move. Like I just could not move. What woke me up out of that trance was his grandmother. So she started screaming my name. So I pick Marquise up and I run downstairs. I put him in the boiler room in the basement. I said, don't you move. And I proceeded to look for Boo Boo's gun. So now I'm trying to look under the bed. I'm flipping everything over, looking for the gun.
Hold on.
So with two guns.
It says, hold on. I'm going to take it back. It says, let me see if I can do it again. It says Boo Boo, a.k.a. Curtis Jackson. Like, she literally put his name in there. Like, if she could have just done this whole video. I don't be trying to help people skirt the law, but she could have just done this whole video and never said his name and let people guess about it. And that would have been even more intriguing. That would have had people watching the show. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm trying to look under the bed. I'm flipping everything over, looking for the gun. So with two guns, didn't let off one shot.
So
exactly.
So for somebody to say that in the comments, to say, he's not going to be able to prove breach of contract. It's all you need is one breach for there to be a breach. This person said, I doubt he could even produce a signed contract worth the ink it takes to print it. Well, it's very likely that if there's a publishing company, that they're really good at keeping paperwork. Let me continue. Y'all know I don't mind taking sides. Y'all know I don't mind taking sides. When I see something, I'm really a good judge of character. That's why this is not a no judgment zone. I don't mind taking sides. When I see something and I see what it is, then I don't mind taking sides. And if the legal ramification prohibits this kind of conversation, then she breached the contract. It's really just that simple. It's not about who you like or who you represent or what side you on, or if you happen to be a baby mama or if you dated a rapper years ago. It's not about none of that. It's literally about the legal shit. Lord. So let's continue. Muffin 53 says 50 is so petty. He cannot keep going through life abusing people. Well, petty and abuse is two different things. That's his MO. He's going to get his comeuppance when he least expects it. God does not like ugly. I'm not sure. Listen, 50 might be God. Quit tripping. I mean, these are legal situations. He asked for a trial. He's asking the court to make a decision. He did it, from what this article states, there was a $1 million demand, but there's a prayer for justice. It doesn't look like he went to the house and strong-armed her for $1 million. We got to understand how this stuff works. I mean, if I'm going to go find this lawsuit, that's what I got to do. What a disgusting human being this man is. First, he ignores his own son and treats him like a leper. Now, I'm laughing because I think that's funny. Now, he does this to the mother of his child who helped him become the rich celebrity he is today. Well, how do you know that? She hasn't shared any tips. All she shared in this trailer was a story about him getting shot. She wasn't even present when it happened. She doesn't share even an interaction that she had with him. I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me like we're forgetting the law. We're forgetting the legal stuff. We like to operate on street logic and hood logic, and we really got to start stepping our game up and operating on more of an intellectual basis and using our intellectual capacity, because we do all have it. I wonder how. I mean, but what? I wonder how long it will be before someone finds something in his closet and gives him a taste of his own medicine. Well, if Curtis Jackson or 50 Cent, if either one of those entities, or any of the entities under which he operates under legally, if any of those entities break the law, then I'm sure they'd be dealt with accordingly. Right? Because as much as 50 sues other people, if he was doing something he shouldn't be doing, somebody probably would have sued him by now and won. I mean, it just seems to me like we're upset. Not we. People are upset because a woman, and y'all, a lot of people don't even know. I've done a lot more research into this than I put on. Okay, a lot of people don't know the history of that relationship and the partnership that was proposed, and the lack of ambition that tried to squeeze and leech off of the success that they said they built but never actually continued to invest in. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'll share more about that maybe one day. But it sounds to me like we've got, I hate to say this. Hold on, let me just figure the right way to say this. How do I say this? How did I say this in the right way? Okay, all right, I'm gonna say it then. It sounded to me like we got a bunch of bitter baby mamas. They're like team bitter baby mama who can't do anything for themselves. So instead of, because when you're with somebody, you build together. That's a given. That's a given. Knock it out the box, charge it to the game. Looks like another love TKO. Okay. But when you have the ability to build for yourself, and you have the ambition, and you have the lack of entitlement, and you have the wherewithal, when that relationship is over, you continue to build for yourself and operate in your ambition and operate in your wherewithal. You don't feel the need to go back and talk bad or talk in any really way about the person you were with, because you're on your own grind. You're busy doing your own thing. All of the tools and systems and strategy, and what's the other word I'm looking for? All of the wherewithal. Thank you, future self. All of the wherewithal in which you operated in to help that person build themselves, you can do for yourself as well. So you don't feel the need to go backwards 20 years later. And so it sounds to me, to be honest, it sounds to me like, I'm not going to speak specifically on Shaniqua Tompkins on this, and I'm going to let the courts handle that, but I'm going to speak to the comments. It sounds to me like we have a bunch of people who don't get it. They don't get it. It's like I keep hearing the word, a sense of entitlement. Like, because you fucked this nigga, because you had a baby with this nigga, all of a sudden what he has is yours. Well, no, that's called a marriage. And even then, not necessarily. Okay. That's why I prefer LLCs over marriages. Okay. I prefer a family LLC over an actual marriage. That's the only way that we can claim whatever it is that we share. But I literally hear people being team bitter baby mama. Like, if this woman, if she sold her rights, which means she may not have ever sold her cat, but she did sell her rights. Okay? If she sold her rights to be able to share these stories, that was for purpose. I'm sure that was, it says irrevocable. There's no coming back from that. It's into perpetuity. There is no coming back from that. So keep your mouth shut. there's ways to get around it. Like I said, write a book and share 10 tips to help build a successful man. Make YouTube videos, 5 steps to support your partner's success. Without, I'm Shaniqua Tompkins. I'm the bitch that helped build 50 Cent and G Unit, and this is how I did it. Without going into the anecdotes and the stories and the business of it all. There are ways to share, and it doesn't sound like she's interested in sharing any of that. And I wonder if any of those principles are alive in her life. And I'm just asking, one woman to another, one professional to another, one child's mother to another. As a woman who's made it a lifestyle to choose the best when it comes to the man that I'm with, and only is, with the successful man, I don't feel the need to tell you what I did, because that was my gift to that relationship. Number one. Number two, those same principles show up in my own life. So I don't really have time to make a, girl, this is some bullshit. Last one. Wait, what? He's doing and acting the same thing as P. Diddy? What? I think niggas just, okay. They're not necessarily niggas. Anyway, y'all, that's the story for now. I'm going to go and see if I can pull up the lawsuit. I'm going to do my best to find that. We may need to go ahead and read that today, sweet Jesus, but after bedtime. My baby goes to bed in 3 hours. I have to spend the next few moments making her dinner, playing with her, and getting her to bed. So for now, I just think it's so funny, especially when this stuff happens in the Black community, because the conversation needs to be a lot more intellectual across the board, Okay. So you can't call yourself in a high level relationship and in a this ain't no common law type shit. There are actual legal agreements that take place. And when that happens, you have to abide by them. So for now, that's all I got. Ain't got no more. I holla.